afternoon, another Wednesday on the Network Educate Invite Business Support Program. It's great to have a number of people on here again. Just a heads up, guys, as you're aware, we do 40 of these a year. We do 4 on and 1 off. So this is the last one for 2 weeks. So we will have the Be Connected Networking next Wednesday morning, but there'll be no Wednesday afternoon session. So it's great to have everybody back. Some of the same faces, some new ones, which is absolutely fantastic. So what we'll do, we'll kick straight into it. And whose fingers are that on? It's Wayne. You're on twice. Get off.
I was wondering, is that the same person?
I got one looking up.
That's my twin brother. I'm getting off. Wait a minute. I don't know how to get off.
Yeah, his phone's off now. It's frozen. All right. So anyway, let's get straight down to it. We're at the bit of a magic minute. So let's find out who's in the room. I'll actually start off with our guest presenter today. Alan, just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, as you can see, I'm a profiling and communication specialist, which means I help people to read other people to understand their personalities and their emotions so that they can build stronger relationships with them. I'm also the creator of the hashtag We Together and Campfire Project, which is a safe place for men and women to be able to come along and tell their stories, which I'll be telling you a lot more about shortly. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Alan. John?
Good afternoon, everyone. Name is John. Most of you already know me. I am the main phone guy for Be Connect. If you have any requests for your business, send in a purchase request form. I'll take care of it.
Beautiful. And for those that don't know what a purchase request form is, talk to your trade coordinator and say, I want. John's job's to find. Simple as that. Thomas?
Hi, I'm Thomas from Dino Visual Designs. I'm a business development manager and I own a company in a digital agency aspect. As well as that, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be a full real estate agent. So I'm looking forward to that. And also I am a property developer in the meantime. So I'm Thomas from Dino Visual Designs.
Beautiful. Can I throw something else on there as well? Because we had a good conversation on Monday. Thomas has also started a cleaning company. So if you know anybody in Queensland that needs decent cleaning, he's your man. So is it just the Gold Coast, mate, or?
No, we actually got a company that we work with in Brisbane as well. Yep. So yeah, I know my lady that owns it. We actually can do commercial as well.
Yep.
And everything. But with commercial, it'll probably be with BX. It'll probably be half cash at the moment.
Well, we're not talking about that on here, so that's fine. No, but all good, fantastic. Now, normally she's last, but not today. Alison.
I am usually last.
I know you are. That's why I'm being nice.
Yeah, I think there's usually only 2 of us ladies on here as well. So come on, ladies, we need you to jump on the Network Educate Invite bandwagon and help us outnumber the men. My name is Alison. I am your FemCore mentor, and normally I talk about how I help female entrepreneurs and business owners to increase their productivity, their staff retention, and their culture within their business. But seeing as we're in a room full of men today, I also help men understand their partners and their female staff better, so you can get out of the doghouse quicker at home and make sure that your staff is working to their best for you each and every day.
And if I'd have known you 4 marriages ago, I would be a very rich man.
I would have saved you $1 million.
You would. You'd have saved me about 3 houses, 2 boats and a dog. And I miss the dog more than any of them, but there you go. Phil.
More than any of the wives.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm Phil Moore from Phil Moore Designs. I'm a professional graphic designer, and I love helping businesses stand out with graphic design, animation, and 3D design.
Beautiful, nice and simple. Phil's my graphic designer, does a wonderful job. Really good. Michael, introduce yourself, please.
Well, thank you, Jason. I'm Michael Gladkov. I'm a writer, editor, trainer. I have a company called Word Nerds. It does writing and editing.
Right. I was wondering who that was. Sorry.
Yeah, and Speech Power. It does speech writing and presentation creation. So I do all types of communication services as well as training in anything from copywriting, speech writing, editing, proofreading, business writing. So all written communication plus training on how to be a better communicator, whether it's public speaking or writing.
Beautiful. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So we normally do have a resident copywriter, but he's not here, so you might get lucky today. So, Dre.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dre Ockenden. I am a cyber specialist. I build WordPress websites from scratch, as well as doing the maintenance and security for them. And I also teach kids between 10 and 16 how to code.
And Dre's also my web designer as well. It's amazing how you keep things. This is the thing about having a network. You deal with your own network.
I'd like to brag too. He's also my son, and I created that gorgeous creature. It's fine.
I wouldn't be screaming out about that one. I really wouldn't. Good morning. Good afternoon, Jill. Yeah, it's afternoon over there now.
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm Joel Merkumaghanay from Philippines. I work with Jay as his virtual assistant.
And does an absolutely wonderful job. Thank you, Jill. Thank you for coming on today. Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Price, a consultant with ACN. I help businesses and residents save on their electricity bills. The last cafe, $170 a month on his electricity. So he's one very happy cafe owner.
Very nice. Beautiful. Thank you, Jacqueline. And last but not least, here we go. Bring it on. Wayne.
Hello, everybody. Wayne Lennon. That's what I do up there. And what I do is I sell time.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It's very simple what I do. It's not complicated.
Fair enough. Thank you. That was the shortest I've ever heard you, mate.
I'm just trying that, see how it goes.
Beautiful. No worries. Thank you very much, Wayne. All right. So before I get to stop talking and hand over to Alan, which I am looking forward to doing, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. So there's 2-3 people plus myself in the room that are already aware of this. Now, we have an ambassador program. Everybody knows my theory on the theory of +1. If you've got 10 people in a room, there are 90 possible transactional opportunities that go through that room. You put one more person in that room, that goes up to about 120 possible transactions, and it grows exponentially for every one person that actually comes in the room. So growing a network, it's what I do. It's what I love doing. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is to see more people, help more people. So in NEI, we do have the ambassador program, but what I want to do, and this will be officially going live next Wednesday, so you guys are the first to know about this until people watch the video. I don't want anybody inviting anybody in the next 7 days. And the reason I don't want people doing that is we've actually put together an incentive for people to invite their networks. Not just invite 1 or 2 people, invite your entire contact list. Because we've actually got a prize pool of about $30,000 worth of prizes that we're going to give away. So if you refer the most people into the network, you'll be number 1. You get to pick the first prize out of the pool. If you're number 2, you get to pick number 2. So some of the examples of what we've already got locked away is we've got 1 year's CRM hub through Cal with all the training that's valued at about $3,000. Alan's doing one of his premium courses, which is about $2,500. Alison's doing a course as well, which is about $3,000. We've got 10 $600 holiday vouchers to give away. We're also just waiting for the paperwork to come back from who's not heard of Dale Beaumont. So Dale Beaumont is about to give us either one of his silver or gold packages, which are valued between $12,000 and $15,000. This guy is a god when it comes down to marketing, and he will help your business. So that will be going into the prize pool. It will run for a 6-week campaign starting next Wednesday. You all have your own individual invite link in there. So when you go into the network, click invite, there's your link, send it out to people, but don't do it till next Wednesday, because the system will actually tell me who's invited who, and it'll give me a number, and I can check that at any given time. So we really want to push this. We've currently got just under 200 members in the network. If everybody else can just bring 2 in, some won't bring any, some are not engaged at all. If somebody brings in 10 or 20 in that period, fantastic. But I'd really like to see us get to a minimum of 500 by Christmas, but I can't see why we can't go any further. So keep that under your hat. All right, guys, now I get to the part that I can press mute. So what I'm going to do Alan's already got share screen facility, so I would like to introduce Alan, who's going to have a chat to us today about the Campfire Project. All yours, mate.
Thank you very much. And you should be able to see my blazing campfire there at the moment. Where this came about, one of the things that I've realised that, especially with men, mental health issues are quite high at the moment in the all over Australia and actually all over the world. And so I looked at it and thought, right, we need to be able to work on some of the problems we've got today. Because one of the things is that we lose in Australia, 8 people a day commit suicide, are successful at taking their lives. 6 of those are men. And over COVID, those numbers went up. So to get around that issue, I realised that we needed to do something. Now, just quickly, my background as a profiler, I've worked with all sorts of companies. My whole role is being able to understand people and understand what makes them tick. Now, in the workplace, I found that talking to men in particular, they didn't know their role at work because with the all the political correctness and gender equality, they said, we've got to be worried about what we're saying. So the guys that used to be relaxed were now starting to get nervous about saying the right thing and not saying the wrong thing. And at home, well, our job was to go out and bring in the resources, or it was back when I was a young fella. Today, we're getting a lot where it's, where are you? You're emotionally disconnected, you're absent. And so the men were getting frustrated, and frustration leads on to anger because everything is connected. And that anger in some cases moves on to domestic violence, bullying at work. And whenever anything like that happens, as I said, everything's connected. And we find that what happens at work goes through and happens at home as well. In 2018, the stats were 87% of people were disengaged in the workplace. And a lot of this has come from those gender equality issues, the fact that people were in competition, didn't know their roles, etc. If they were unhappy at work, they're unhappy at home. And then that affects the children and everything else. And I thought, right, there's a lot of groups out there like Me Too and Men Too. And by the way, I never knocked them. They're absolutely necessary. They came along and highlighted all the problems that were existing. In 2006, it was the women who were being abused. That needed to be raised, and they brought it out quite well. But over time, we also found some of the women were abusing that as well, and the guys were then copying it. So in 2018, Men Too started. And so what you've got is people pointing the finger at each other as the problem. And we know that, and Einstein said it as well, you'll never fix a problem with the same energy that created it in the first place. You've got to do it differently. When you're looking at problems, all you're seeing is problems, you're never seeing solutions. So being able to look at things differently, when you're pointing at somebody, you're not going to get there because everyone, the guys are going, are you having a go at me? They're being self-defensive. That leads on to anger and things just escalate. And it's the same thing back the other way. But when you stand shoulder to shoulder looking at the problem, you're no longer pointing at each other as a problem. You're looking at the problem and there's no egos. It's not a matter of what have you done wrong? What can you do to do better? It's a matter of what can we do together? So I created the Campfire Project, first of all, as a safe place where men could come together, sit and have conversations. I opened it, first of all, just having men coming in one-on-one and talking to them, letting them tell their stories. And from there, people then start to lighten up and you come into more casual conversations and men get the chance then to laugh together as well. What I brought in when I started were all different men. You might recognise at least one of the faces there if you're on the BX network. Mark Nuss up in the middle here. First of all, Brian Cardoza, 6 years old. His brother sold him for sex and those rapes went on for 3 years. And then it was physical and emotional abuse from his mother until he finally left home. Mark Nuss, he works with, he runs Destiny Rescue. These are the guys that go undercover to recover children from sex slavery in Asia. Jody, as I said, I got no interest in what somebody's, or not concerned by anybody's culture, their gender, their background or anything else. The only qualification people have to have when they come into the Campfire Project is to be respectful of each other. And so Jody, for instance, up until the age of 21, he was a woman and he transitioned into a male. D'Angelo Singh protected his 2 younger brothers and sisters at the age of 15 while he watched his father stab his mother to death. These are the stories that these men would sit down and tell me what went on in their lives. Kyrie Oliver, for instance, he's 24 years old, or was at the time. He'd already interviewed over 800 men, and some of them, many of them on death row. So his stories of what he'd been through in his life, but also the interviews that he had. Rob, he jumped out of the third-story window to get away from the police, hit landings all the way down, ended up in hospital for quite some time. The reason he ran, because the police came after him because of a complaint from his girlfriend saying there was domestic violence. And after the accident, it came out that she'd falsely accused him. And so he went through, operation after operation. Now, Paul Stratton Stevens, very interesting character, ex-military, ex-school teacher, and legally blind. And he's a coach. And we've had him on the Campfire Project quite a bit. Kenny, he and his family, when he was a young boy, escaped from Uganda. They lived around the corner from Idi Amin, and they left because they were going to be murdered. He then came out to England. He's worked with Mother Teresa in her hospitals for a period of time, and now he runs men's groups over in London. Very interesting people. But from there, I brought them into panel discussions. And as you can see by the dials on all our faces, we've had a lot of laughter in those conversations. We have talked about masculinity, femininity. We've talked about drugs, alcohol. No subject was off the table. It was at that point, and I've had women in the group from day one, and I've had the women there for two reasons. One, I didn't want this to be a men's group where men would go and feel great, be like going to a motivational seminar, and then at the end of it, go home and then get hit in the face by the real world and then want to go back to the seminar again. I wanted the men to be able to connect with the right sort of women, because I knew if we brought the right women in, they would treat the men with respect. The men then would be able to have a conversation with those women and work out whether they'd actually been working through their stuff. Were they getting a lot out of the conversations? At the same time, it gave me an opportunity for the women to just hear how men can speak when they felt safe to do so. And as I said, some of those conversations were really deep conversations on the one-on-ones. But once I ran the panel discussions, that's when I started getting personal messages from the women going, we love these guys. We've never heard men talk this way before. Can we get involved? So what I did then, I brought the women into the group. And as you might notice here, Angela Heiser, one of our members. Angela is not only just a member of the group, she runs one-on-one conversations as well, interviews with people, and she's now running panel discussions as well. Kylie Hutchinson, I profiled her son 10 years ago with his Asperger's when he was 6 years old. She's been a follower of what I've been doing now for 10 years, still doing testimonial videos, but she came into the group and enjoys sitting in on a lot of the panel discussions, and the wisdom that she's got is absolutely brilliant. I won't go through all of them, but down here, Simone O'Brien. Simone O'Brien's a very interesting lady. She divorced her husband when she was young. She had two children, two daughters to him. She then, after a few years, decided she wanted to get back into the dating scene. And she met a guy online, started dating him, and then she broke it off by sending him a text. He turned up at her place with a baseball bat and took to her with the baseball bat, 45 to 50 strikes to the head, completely shattered her skull. The worst domestic violence attack you've ever heard of. There's only reason she's alive is, first of all, two Samoan guys next door were called in by the daughters and they pulled the bloke off because he would have kept going. At the same time, the woman next door on the other side was a nurse, and she put a dry towel around her head to hold the skull together. Now she's speaks on the domestic violence circuit for both men and women victims. So she's got no animosity towards men, because as you said, she wouldn't be alive if it hadn't been for those other two men. And she's as bright as a button. She's absolutely incredible. Lovely lady. So we brought those women and they were having the one-on-ones. We then, whoops, let's go back one. We brought them into the panel discussions, and where we've had the one-on-ones, also 300 of those so far, we've now had 150 panel discussions, and we increased the subjects we were talking about because we had women in there as well. And we covered things like menstruation, menopause. We've even talked about, does size matter in the bedroom? And if anybody here is wondering what the answer to that is, you'll have to come into the Campfire Project and check out the video. Have to join us. Now, with the one-on-ones, first of all, anybody can do those. I never do them live. They're always pre-recorded. As I said, the purpose was for anybody to be able to come in, tell their story in safety where they're respected and looked after. If the person at the end of telling me their story says, I'm a bit worried about other people hearing it, we delete it. And if anybody says, I've had a few people say, but isn't that wasting your time? No. The priority was hold your space so that you could tell your story, job done. If we get to show it into the Campfire Project, then it's a bonus for everybody else. Now, anybody who's a coach who comes in, I don't endorse anybody, but when they come in and they tell their story, they're showing respect to everyone in the group. They get credibility if they're good at what they do. And a lot of them have now picked up clients within the Campfire Project. So I've never told people they need a coach. I believe everyone does. I'll be turning 70 next year and I've got coaches now, and I always will have coaches because there's always something new that I have to learn or I want to learn. So that gave the coaches a chance to grow their business as well. Now, one of the guys I brought in, Scott Carson, he's now my co-host in there. He runs a lot of Facebook live panel discussions on the Thursday night, around about 7 o'clock here in New South Wales. No, 8 o'clock now, because it was 7 o'clock for Queensland, so they didn't have to get up too early or come in too early from work. First one, when he ran his one-on-one, the first person he interviewed was his father. He had not spoken to his father in the best part of, or quite a few years. His father left when he was young. As Lee will told everybody in the interview, he was an alcoholic. Scott interviewed him not to find blame, but to find out why he was the way he was. Why did he make the decisions he made? That interview has been kept in the Campfire Project. It's gone viral in there. Everybody who's looked at it has had nothing but great words to say for both Scott and also for his father, Lee. So through that conversation, Scott's now building a relationship with his father. At the same time, young Oscar, his son, who was 9 years old at the time, wanted to know if he could interview his father, interview Scott. He went away and he researched his own questions. He ran the interview for the best part of an hour. And one of the questions, they're all pearlers, but one of them was, why is it, Dad, you can give to everybody else, but you find it so hard to receive yourself? And Scott kept on saying, oh, good question, Oscar. And I'm sitting there listening to the live going, get over it, Scott. Stop trying to find an answer. Your son's already done the research. He just shot him right between the eyes with each question. It was brilliant. And so now we've had the youngest person to run an interview at the time was 9 years old. The oldest man I've interviewed is Ted. Now, Ted, I advertised him as my TED Talk. He's 99 years old. He turns 100 next month. So the difference between the two ages is a good 90 years on the people who are in the Campfire Project. One of the targets now is anybody who comes in can do a one-on-one. If they've done a one-on-one and they want to interview their mother, their father, their brothers and other things, I'm into it. I'm looking for people to come in and get active in there because this is not my tribe. This is our community and it's gone global. We've got over 2,100 people in there now and growing all the time. From there, one of the other events that's come out of it is with Scott, who I just showed you a moment ago. James Short, a mate of mine. He lives up at Lennox Head. Scott's in Melbourne. They've connected on the internet. They've created a business between the two of them called the Business of Smiles. They haven't met each other in real life yet. They're already planning a run from Sydney to Melbourne. We were going to be running right now, but they had to put it off because of the borders, and they're doing it early next year, where they're going to be running and handing out these socks, the yellow socks. And what the story behind these is, the little black dots that are all over them are the black spots you're going to go through in your life. The things are going to come that you've got no way of stopping, and they're going to happen to you. But the yellow is the warmth of the winter's sun, the camaraderie of having other people around you, having the right support. So they want to run from Sydney to Melbourne, down the coast road, through all the communities, 2.5 weeks of running, 1,200 kilometres, to hand out 10,000 pairs of these socks and start conversations. On the 9th of this month, couple of weekends ago, we had a virtual walk, a virtual run for those that wanted to run, and those that wanted to walk could walk. And we tallied up all our times. And this was run with people all over Australia and overseas as well. The idea was for all of us together to clock up the 1,200 kilometres that they're going to run next year. Now, these are a couple of guys that just came out of the surf. That while, let me see, James walked about 36 kilometres up in the Lennox Head area across to Byron Bay, where Scott did about 41 kilometres in Melbourne. When he handed these socks to these young guys, the response they got back from that, let me see, Scott was talking to a guy in Melbourne who then turned around and said his son was suicidal. He gave him a pair of socks for his son. The next day, Scott got a phone call from the father saying that his son wore the socks to bed because he told him the story about the socks. The power of those conversations, they had over 100 conversations on that walk and impacted with so many people. We've got Mentoring Men as another group that's been getting involved with it. We've got the Jewish House in Sydney, which is a charity group down there, who are doing social media on as well. This came out of the Campfire Project, but came out of the people who are in the Campfire Project. All I have done is started this, and all the right people have come in with their passion and everything else, and it's grown from that point. Because my job as a leader is to get out of the driver's seat. My job is to make myself redundant, help other people to come up and do what I've been doing, but do it better than I can do it, so I can go on and do other things. And because of that, the next evolution in the We Together initiative, because it's not just a Campfire Project, is to help charities. Now, as I mentioned, we have Mentoring Men, we're supporting Destiny Rescue, and we're also supporting the Integra Service Dogs. Now, as the Campfire Project does not make any money, it was never designed as a business where I would even make a single cent. This is my passion project. So in doing that, we need the support of fantastic people. You know, Jason stepped up and is helping us with the sponsorship with the new website that Dre's actually building for us. At the same time, I've also got another friend of mine has delivered this website to me. This is one that's been registered under the wetogether.com.au, whereas the one that Dre's building at the moment is the campfireproject.com.au. This is an online shopping platform. Rick built this for health organisations like Phoenix Health, Teachers Health, and for large sporting clubs, for them to be able to help it, work it into their membership to help their members stay with the groups. What he's done is a deal with over 1,400 stores, eBay, Expedia, Amazon, Coles, all of those stores, where anybody goes shopping online, they'll get the extra deals by coming through my website and then going, like Expedia, I made an extra 8% when we were traveling. I would save an extra 8% on my travel. The idea of that is while you're shopping online, 2% of everything you spend comes back to one of those three charities, whichever charity you've chosen, and you can change that charity at any time. At the same time, there's also these e-cards as well, where you buy the e-card. I pay $95 for an e-card at Coles, and I've got $100 worth of spending. Excuse me. So within a year, I've saved 2 weeks spending. That allows, like in Destiny Rescue, they're running a thing at the moment called 1K. They want 1,000 people to join, give $10 a month, so they have $10,000 to go undercover in their raids into Asia to get the kids out of sex slavery. But that means people have got to pay $120 a year. And a lot of people are saying, well, I don't have that money. But if you were using something like this and saving money, then what you're saving is a lot more than what Destiny Rescue are after. You can still support Destiny Rescue and make savings as well. But using one of the cards, because there's about 74 different organisations, I bought my new mobile phone the other day, paid $1,000 for it. Well, that's what it was worth, but only paid $975. I got 7.5% saving on it. So they're the things that have been coming into it. The last thing I'll say on that is there's a calculator that you can go in and put what you think your spending will be. That's on the front page. And that'll give you an idea of how much savings you get and how much you're donating to charity. So it's a great way of saving money while you're giving to charity at the same time. But this has come about because of what the Campfire Project has been doing. It's bringing some really great people in, as I mentioned with Jason and the network Educate and Invite, that support and everything else that we're getting. We can't do the things that we do on our own. The Campfire Project was put together for that reason, to help people to come together and create a global community. And with support of some really fantastic people we've got in there and the ones we've got around us, we're growing that as well. I'm pretty confident that the day, if I step away from this, it's going to keep running. So there's so many people out there doing it. By bringing other men's groups in and women's groups in, I want to get, that's one way you can help us, tell other groups about it. If they come in, we're not in competition. We want them to come in. We want them to tell their stories, why they're doing what they're doing. Then to bring them into panel discussions where they can then talk about the things that are that they're doing, but also discuss different ways of helping each other. And in that, for those leaders of those groups to get to know each other, because when you're in charge of a group and you're going through tough times, who do you turn to? Well, if you can turn to somebody else who's running another group who understands what you go through, that's damn good support. And this way, we bring a lot of those groups together to know about each other and to work closer together. Because when we work in isolation, we can only do so much. But when we work together, we really bring it up. But there's the contact details. That's the group page itself. We've got an open community page where people can come in, and this is where we advertise the one-on-ones and panel discussions that we've got inside the group page. Then we've got the We Together website that I just showed you, but this is the new one. And I think this is the thing that's really going to make the difference. So I'm really thankful to Jason, because having this is going to allow us to advertise outside in a bigger way and show what we're actually doing. So come and join us. And I hope you like it. They're my sexy legs with my yellow socks on.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that, Alan. I think that was a wonderful presentation. And they hit the timing right on the head as well. Well done, mate. I'm very impressed. So, has anybody got any questions or any feedback for Alan on that?
I suppose I've got a comment. I'm just so glad you created something like this, Alan, because years ago, there used to be a lot of stigma if you mentioned mental health or anything like that, and there wasn't really much help at all for men. Like I was searching everywhere because I had a bit of depression and anxiety, many years ago, and it took one lady counsellor to get me to open my shell, kind of thing. And after that, I couldn't shut up. But back then,
what are you saying, Jason? We've noticed that.
but back then, there was nothing. There was nothing around, and there was a big stigma. If I told someone I had depression or anxiety, you'd see the judgy eyes and all that kind of thing. They'd treat you differently, and so I'm just so glad you created that, and just times are different now. So it's great.
That's the whole thing. See, there's a lot of things out there for women, but what women don't realise is that we help men to become better men, not to be the man, to become a man. And if you're trying to be the man, it's a competition. We see it with our sporting stars, we see it with our politicians, bad behaviour all over the place. But if you're trying to be a man, you want to be the best version of yourself. And who do you want around you? Others that are doing the same thing, both men and women. Exactly. And together we make a change. So if we help men to become better men, the recipients of that are the women, are the families, the children, the community.
Then they pass that on. Yeah.
But by the way, as far as any man who cries, thumbs up to them, simply because it takes courage to be vulnerable. And that's where a lot more guys need to realise that. And as far as mental health goes, there's a sliding scale, and every last one of us on this planet is somewhere on that scale. It just depends on which way the scale is moving as to which end we're sliding backwards and forwards from.
Yeah. I was kind of back in the time where men just didn't talk about things like that. So one of those generational things, I think.
Especially men from Newcastle, mate. Dwarf.
But yeah, I'm just so glad it's different now. So yeah.
So am I as well.
Anybody else? Beautiful. No worries. So look, thanks very much for that. What I'm going to do, we're going to stop the recording now.